Cool. Hey, I'm Eric Haugen. Here's my information and my links down there. Today, we're going to talk about 3 things that I think you should be working on if you're at the place in your guitar playing when you're like, cool, I know how to play a bunch of songs. Good job. Super fun, isn't it? But like, now what? I mentioned this. Sorry, I'm turning off my effects. Yeah, by the way, I put all the links to whatever this stuff is in the description box below under the video. Okay, so the principle here is, I mentioned this in last week's video. Once you've learned about 20 songs, 20, 30 songs, and you're like, cool, I can play guitar, neat, good job, then you need to start understanding theory. Don't go too far. That's my thing, is try and provide just enough. Here's the first thing that I think you should know. Many of you know this already, the notes on your strings, starting with the E, A, and D strings. Those are the most important strings. The skinny ones are fun too, but they're not the anchor points of scales, arpeggios, riffs, and things like that. The rule is this, ready? All the notes are 2 frets apart, except for E and F and B and C, which are right next to each other. On a piano, that's easy to see. So that means on my low E string here, E, F is right here, space, G, A, B, C, D, E, our double dot, our 12. Our octave. Let's do the same thing to our A string. A, nobody there, because that would be A sharp or B flat. B, right there is C. Makes sense if you think about it. C chord, C root. Cool. C, D, E, F. A little bit of Iron Man. F, G, A. And you can sit around and do this with the next one. D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. Little side piece about this. Yes, you have sharps and flats in between those fundamental pitches, but I don't recommend looking at the fretboard that way. I think it's more useful to see landmarks, the natural notes, the notes that are unadorned by a sharp or flat, and then extrapolate, if a G sharp chord shows up, it's going to be there. Because, sometimes I teach this to a student. They'll go, okay, E, F, F sharp G, G sharp A sharp B. I disagree with that because nothing is equal in this world. Some notes are more, you're going to use more than others. And you can bet that you are sure as shit going to play a lot more Gs than you're going to play G sharps in your life. So it's better to know, G. Okay, so once you know that piece of information, and by the way, if you're an advanced guitar player, skip ahead about 10 minutes, and then we'll get to stuff that's useful for you. The next thing that you need to know is your major scale, what that looks like. Going somewhere with this is, you'll see. So on a G, G is like I said, you'll play a lot of Gs in your life. 3, 5, 2, 3, 5, 2, 4, 5. If I'm going fast for you, there's slow down gears in YouTube over here and over here, depending on what device you're on. Spacebar pauses, arrows go forward and back. So you could slow me down, or if you're advanced, you could speed me up. We won't even worry about why that is that. Sure, you could go down a theory rabbit hole about it, but just know that this is the industry standard guitar player major scale. And that means you can now play a major scale in any key. Very useful. So, if you're like, oh, this song is in C major, E, F, G, A, B, C. Oh, this song is in A major, E, F, G, A. Now, the next thing that happens is, because we know our notes on our fretboard and we know the major scale, you now can know the notes of a key. Ready for this? Without having to use the annoying circle of fifths. I hate the circle of fifths. It never jived with me. anything that's like theory that's not on my fretboard, I got no time for it. Again, people will disagree, that's fine. Any teacher can only tell you how they do it. So that means I could look down and just know, like, okay, that's a B. Pop quiz, what note is this? What am I playing right now? It's a C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A. So those are my notes in my key of A, which has 1 sharp, 2 sharps, 3 sharps. And so, yeah, circle of fifths would have you memorize it as like this external thing. And I'm like, yeah, but like, okay. I really don't recommend going down theory rabbit holes if you're not holding your guitar in your hand and having it make sense. To me, it's just like, that's what to do if you can't sleep at night. Be like, Wikipedia, what is the Nashville number system? Oh, I'm sleepy now. But for me, if it's always associated with something that I'm actually playing, it's actually useful. So that means, yeah, according to Haugonomics, my friend Jeremy Benson coined that one. I love it. According to Haugonomics, we don't need the circle of fifths to know where the sharps or flats are in any key. We just need to know the shape and our fretboard. And that way you have a really good connection with your fretboard. Now, here is something to just know. So the third thing that we want to know is, okay, we know our notes. We now theoretically know the notes of a key. Now, that means we should just memorize which chords are major and which chords are minor and which triad is diminished in any given key. Let's go back to, we'll make it easy. We'll go back to, actually, no, we'll do key of C. Here's A, B, C. So I could look down and be like, oh, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Cool, no sharps or flats. The rule is this, ladies and gentlemen, and everything in between. 1, 4, and 5 are always major chords. So that means my C, my F, and my G are major chords. So now we're talking about how the chords function in a key. And this to me is the big deal about once you've learned a bunch of songs, if you don't start to see the connection point of like, oh, songs happen in a key and there's a scale and like that's what's going on. That's what makes us like the stuff, is the interaction of the chords, the key, and the melody. It's not numbers on a line that you memorize and then regurgitate. You're going to get so much more out of music if you just understand a little more, a little more. Okay, so C, F, G, and you can hear, yeah, that's very proper, like churchy sounding cadence. You know, and in fact, in old school classical music theory, it's called the perfect authentic cadence. 1, 4, 5 chord 1. Check it. I could do the same thing though if I wanted to go up to the key of D. Or I could put it here if I want it. I'll keep it here. D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D again. So now my 1, 4, and 5 are D, A, D, G, A is my 5. So 1, G is the 4 chord, A is the 5 chord, 1, Rolling Stones, Dead Flowers. The 1 chord goes to the 5, then it goes down to the 4, back to 1, and then the 5 goes back to the 1. So yeah, to me, that's so much more useful. So you can take that piece of information and then the way you play around with that, there's 2 ways to play around with that. There's certain hackneyed common progressions that I think are really useful to know. One of them, of course, would be the 12-bar blues. That's a separate lesson. We'll talk about that another time, or you could check out. I'm sure there's any number of great lessons on. I bet Brian at Active Melody probably has some good ones about 12-bar blues. I bet Adrian at Anyone Can Play Guitar has some good ones about 12-bar blues. Here, let me shout out to some other people that I think do good work. Jan Jakut. Is Jan Danish or Finnish? So, if you want like Bill Frisell and some other Mark Ribot transcriptions, Janjakut, Jan Jakut. He's a nice guy and he knows what he's talking about. But anyway, back to what I think we should do with this. What was I saying? Oh yeah, the hackneyed progressions. Ready? It's called The Axis of Awesome, and there's YouTube videos about it. There's a Wikipedia article about it. Ready? 1, 5, 6, 4. So the two, oh crap, I forgot to mention. Okay, let's go back to key of C. So if 1, 4, and 5 are major, 2, 3, and 6 are minor. So 2 is D minor, E is minor, A is the 6. So again, the 2, 3, and 6 are minor. We're going to not worry about the weirdo 7 chord right now. 7 chord is a diminished triad. It's like the appendix of the music theory system. Nobody really likes to use it that much except for Pink Floyd, Radiohead, and Wilco, and me. But it's a diminished triad, which is like nothing more than a sequence of a minor third and a minor third. But then, it's so annoying. It's such a weird, music theory is always like this. As a triad, it's diminished. But it's hard for us guitar players to play that. So I'm playing a 7 chord in the key of C, which is a B diminished. So we add one more note to it. And it becomes A. Don't be afraid of chords that have weird names. B, minor 7, flat 5. So little digression, when you're reading a chord chart and you see E major 7 over G sharp, or you see F sharp minor 7 flat 5, sit with it for a second. I know how the brain works. I teach enough people to watch. So what happens when a weird chord symbol gets put in front of you? The human brain reads that the same way it reads someone with a strange last name like Wojciechowakowicz. Watch now, somebody with that last name is going to comment, hey. But anyway, it goes like, that's not real. However, with chords and last names, that stuff is real. So you just got to be like, hold on, don't fight it. Don't fight it. Let it in. Let it in. Okay. B, minor 7, flat 5. Cool. It's like, all right, Harry Potter reference. It's like Voldemort. Say its name, take away its mystery. We're not going to worry about the Voldemort chord, though, right now. So, 1, 4, and 5 major, 2, 3, 6 minor. Now, hackneyed progressions. Coming back around to the 1, 5, 6, 4, which is, the axis of awesome. There's a video about it, but it's in the key of C. Let's think it through. C is the 1 chord. G is the 5 chord. A minor is the 6 chord. F is the 4 chord. It's a beautiful progression. It's just a little bit overused. It's when I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comforts me. Forever young, I want to be forever young. It's hard to believe that I don't have a partner. Just a small town girl living in a lonely world. And I'm sure you could turn on pop country right now and hear you're going to hear it everywhere. It's a little bit abused right now, but that is a good one to know because it shows up everywhere. And like, I can identify that thing immediately. So, if someone brings a song to me to transcribe or I'm listening to something, or I may use it in the song myself too. Just kind of, you can use tropes just, sparingly. I can recognize it. And so, where's I going with that? Yeah, it's one of those things you'll just see there it was in the key of E, which that is Under the Bridge is actually in key of E. That once you start to see stuff like that, you see these crazy connections like, yo, check it. Amy Winehouse is Back to Black. is the same song as Careless Whisper. Minor chord there though. Hold on, do I remember it? Hold on, don't tell me. And that's why you can get away with these mashups that you see people do, because ultimately a lot of times you're like, oh, Rocky Raccoon, 2 chord, 5, 1, is the same as Aha's Take on Me. Which, like, I love that. And so, yeah, so that would be my first advice, would be take 1, 5, 6, 4 around various keys and start to realize, like, okay, cool. The other way that this becomes useful, actually, I'll do the next one and talk about how this is useful. How are we doing on time? Gotta, you know, the sensor will overheat at a half hour on my camera, so try to keep it under there. Okay. The other way that this is useful, let's go to key of G. Let's look at another hackneyed progression. G, 1, 6, 2, 5. And this was really popular before this was popular probably from the 30s to the 60s. Fast, it's I Got Rhythm. 1, 6, 2, 5. Now, if it's slow, it's also like, oh, here, let's put the tremolo back on. And delay, why not? It's kind of like the old school doo-wop progression also. So, my most popular video that I ever made, it was with this guitar, not the Silvertone, it was with my Tweed. It was where I took a 1, 6, 2, 5, in key of C, calculate C, A minor, D minor, G, and I was like, well, what if Hendrix did it? And yeah, I'm just doing a hackneyed progression that's like been done to death, but kind of playing around with my ideas for it. So the other way that I teach a lot is to play chord and fill, like pentatonic fills usually. So take standard ass progressions and work them through with a groove and fills. Okay, let's do the same thing. I'm gonna take a groove that I used a couple of weeks ago or a couple of months ago. I call that groove the rock diddly. So it's a dense groove. You don't have a lot of time to do fills. So let's see. I'm going to slow it down to showcase that we shouldn't play fast. That's a cool riff. Playing around with pentatonic fills on top of that. So, to review, and we got one more thing before we put the guitar away. Know your notes on your fretboard. Good job learning songs, by the way. Number one thing, continue having fun with your instrument. Learn the notes. Learn that simple 1-octave major scale, but actually knowing the notes that you're playing. You don't have to know them when you're really noodling around and doing, you know, you don't have to know that, but for like putting theory together, you need to. Then you need to know 1, 4, and 5 are major, 2, 3, 6 are minor, 7 is the weirdo, diminished disaster, and then there's those hackneyed progressions, 1, 5, 6, 4, or 1, 2, no, sorry, not 1, 2, 1, 6, 2, 5, and then you could play around in various keys, just jamming on that. Now, the other thing to start to do is analyzing stuff either you already know or new songs. So, watch out though. You know, like everything, especially with rock and roll, it breaks the rules all the time. So, let's see. Songs that don't. Songs that stay squarely within a key. Let's see, Dead Flowers. I opened up with I Got the Blues. That's going to stay squarely within the key of G. Sister Golden Hair by America. That stays in key of E. There's some Creedence Clearwater Revival songs that are good to work on. What would those be? Have You Ever Seen the Rain? Who Will Stop the Rain? Proud Mary actually has some key shifting in it. What else? Van Morrison, And It Stoned Me. That's a killer song. Also, Domino stays in key. Also, so does Brown Eyed Girl. I think Caravan does. Oh, Band. The Weight stays in one key the whole time. So does I Shall Be Released. That's going to stay in one key the whole time. So that's the one thing you have to watch out for, because you can spin yourself out when you try to start to analyze things. If you pick stuff that's like, don't do David Bowie, don't do Pink Floyd, don't touch Wilco or Radiohead. There's a good amount of Beatles that makes sense, and then there's a good amount of Beatles that doesn't. So yeah, you watch out. Definitely, I'm sure, I bet there's probably a list on the internet of good, simple songs to work on. We like to look at the Mustang, so we'll keep the Mustang in shot. I think that's all I want to talk about for today. No, it's not. Because, I mean, my whole thing is like to know enough theory, to not spin yourself out, to not like get intimidated by this instrument, to not have, what's the word I'm looking for? An antagonistic relationship with this instrument. You want this instrument to just be this, like, you know, it's not always going to be a joy, because sure, it gets frustrating, but like watch out with the theory stuff, to not spin too far out. Okay, my camera's flashing at me right now, telling me it's about to turn itself off, so we'll leave it at that. Support me on Patreon, it all helps a lot. Thank you for watching my videos, purchasing my PDF downloads, telling your friends, and all the ways you support me. I really appreciate it, really. And yeah.